Now, maybe the heart of football season, but I am making this video for Yankees fans who are also Jets or Giants fans and don't want to talk about the New York football teams right now. What is the ideal offseason for the New York Yankees? Let's talk about that. So, like I mentioned, Jets and Giants fans, we don't want to talk about football. I'm a Jets fan. See, I got my sweatshirt on. I got an Aaron Rodgers t-shirt jersey under this. If I could pull that up, although the number's on the back, so you can't really tell what's going on. But Jets fan through and through, and they constantly disappoint me. And every time one of my teams disappoints me, whether it's on football Sunday or maybe it's a playoff loss for the basketball or baseball teams of mine, the next day or that afternoon or whatever it is, I don't want to think about that sport. I don't know if everyone else is like this. I don't want to dwell on the loss. I don't want to think about how the Falcons destroyed Tim Boyle and Trevor Simeon, and Aaron Rodgers is possibly healthy enough to come back, but it doesn't matter because the Jets are going to be out of playoff contention. They have a better chance of drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. third overall than they do at making the playoffs. Crossing my fingers on that, unless they get Devontae Adams. So down to get Devontae Adams instead. But nonetheless, I never want to think about my team the day they lose. And so that's why I just switch sports in my brain and what I think about. And so with the baseball offseason going on, it's not difficult to talk about the Yankees, to think about the Yankees. So that's what I want to do today. The dream offseason for the New York Yankees, assuming that there is normal payroll limitations. So I'm going to say this is the dream realistic offseason for the New York Yankees, in my opinion. First of all, it's not Shohei Ohtani. I made a whole video about why the Yankees could be in the market for Shohei. And while I still think that that is a logical reason, I don't think they're going to be in the market for Shohei. And I think Ohtani's going to sign within the next few days, honestly. I think that's between the Giants, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Cubs, maybe the Rangers, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it. And I think the Mets are out too, honestly. So if I had to guess right now, I mean, the heavy bets on the Dodgers, but I think the Giants make the most sense. And I talked about that in my previous video. Check that on the channel. I think that the title is something like the Giants. It's a quick thoughts episode. The Giants will be the ones to win the Ohtani sweepstakes or something like that. Anyway, the ideal Yankees offseason doesn't involve Ohtani, but it does involve the Giants or Dodgers getting him, because if the Giants and Dodgers get him, whichever team does, they're not going to be going after Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And that's the first key, in my opinion. The Yankees need to make an upgrade at I almost said at the wide receiver position. My brain is still on football. The Yankees need to make an upgrade in the rotation. They're going to, in part two of this proposed plan, trade away at least one starter. But even as the rotation sits right now, you have Cole at the top. You hope Rodon is your second, right? You hope he's back to his San Francisco Giants days. Then you've got Michael King, you've got Nestor Cortez, and you've got Clark Schmidt. And then, I mean, you got Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez in the minors that you could call up. Not a lot of depth there. You need to make at least one starting pitcher signing this offseason. And who better than Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's the top starter on the market, who's going to get a $300 million contract, who's 25. He's an ace coming out of Japan. Slot him right in there in that rotation. You save number 18 from him if you're the Yankees. For him, should I say, if you're the Yankees. You slot him right behind Garrett Cole. That allows Rodon to be your 3, which is insane. If you keep Michael King, he'll be your 4, and then you could have Nestor Cortez be your 5. I think that's the first step. The second step, and it's rumored all over the place, you got to trade for Juan Soto. And the Padres have to shed payroll. The only place they could do it is Juan Soto. They're not getting a lot of serious offers. The Blue Jays are in. They're also waiting for Ohtani. I doubt they have a good enough package to be able to lure San Diego to go with them. And the package that San Diego asked from the Yankees, 7 players, is absolutely ridiculous. But eventually, sides will negotiate. It'll come down. I wouldn't be surprised if this deal is done in the next couple days at winter meetings, especially with AJ Preller and Brian Cashman both being guys that tend to hammer things out in in-person meetings. If you trade, this is the proposed trade I had. I posted this on my personal Twitter account. This is what I think it's going to be. Clark Schmidt, the starter for last year, who had a pretty good season. Hampton, one of their top prospects, Will Warren, one of their higher pitching prospects, Johnny Brito, who I mentioned, who started a couple games last season. And I think they're going to end up sending a catcher as well because the Padres need another catching option, and the Yankees have, I believe, 6 on the 40-man roster. So whether that's Kyle Higashioka or it's not going to be Jose Trevino, it might be Ben Rortvet. I think it's going to be Higgy. And then I think the Padres are going to try to get Trent Grisham in that deal as well to send back to the Yankees. The Yankees could use center field help until Dominguez comes back. Jason Dominguez, that is. So that fills the left field hole. And even if you have to give up Michael King instead of Clark Schmidt, even if you have to give up Drew Thorpe instead of Chase Hampton, even if you have to give up whoever else, I'm willing to do that deal for a higher package than what I mentioned. That's just what I think it'll come down to. Adding Soto takes the Yankees left field spot from being the worst in Major League Baseball to the best in Major League Baseball in WAR, hands down. That's enough to make up 5 or 6 wins just by itself. Juan Soto's an elite bat, Ted Williams style bat. A little bit below average defender, but what have you had there recently? Who have the Yankees thrown out there in left field recently? Oswaldo Cabrera, who's performed somewhat well, but in terms of defensively, but he's an infielder. Who's the guy they were throwing out there all the time last year? Jake Bauers in left field was playing a lot last year. They played Everson Pereira down the stretch, and he's obviously going to be a depth option if he's not in that deal. But there's not a lot of left field options and not a lot of great play out of left field last year. Giancarlo Stanton doesn't seem to be healthy enough to play that position for the full season, obviously. You had guys like Willie Calhoun taking at bats in the outfield last year. Getting a guy like Juan Soto, a top 5 MLB bat, stick him in left field, stick him in third in your lineup, move everyone down a slot. I think that'll be great for their lineup health overall. Third thing that I think they need is an upgrade at one of 2 positions. So if they trade for Grisham in the Soto deal, then that's an upgrade at center field. Then a guy like Chaim or Candelario can make sense as an upgrade at third base. You can move DJ LeMahieu to second. You have Gleyber Torres DH or whatever the situation is, right? I've said in videos past, I'm not guaranteeing at bats for Giancarlo Stanton. Love him. Think he's been an ideal Yankee, especially when it comes to dealing with media, dealing with the pressure, dealing with the playoffs. But I'm not guaranteeing at bats for him. So if you can get a guy like Candelario, you got an extra infielder to move around to the DH spot in case Stanton struggles. And then on the other hand, let's say they don't get Grisham in the Soto deal. You could add a guy like Kevin Kiermaier to play center. Keep the infield the way it is. When Jason Dominguez comes back, he starts competing for at-bats, whether it's with Kiermaier in center, whether it's with Stanton at DH or whatever the situation is. So you've got a couple of ways to play that. So I think the first part, like I mentioned, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Second part, trade for Juan Soto. Third part, make an upgrade at either center field in Kevin Kiermaier or third base in Chaim Candelario. I think that's the ideal way to go about this offseason. I don't think they're going to be adding another huge piece. I don't think Cody Bellinger's in the cards, although if they strike out on Juan Soto, pun intended, then maybe Bellinger is in the cards and maybe you put him in center and you get a left fielder. Maybe it's Kiermaier. Maybe you stick him in left. They need more lefty bats either way. But I don't see another spending spree outside of that. I don't see them spending big to get a reliever. The churn out relievers like nobody's business. I don't see them getting a lot of depth pieces in the rotation. I think they get one big swing, one big guy. And whether that's Yamamoto, whether that's someone else that's out on the market, I don't see them getting many other free agents. I mean, I know they've been rumored to like Jung-Hoo Lee, the outfielder from Korea. I know they've been rumored to like a few other guys. And while I could see them swimming in those waters if these deals strike out, I think the clear plan A is Soto, Yamamoto, and either Candelario or Kiermaier. And Yamamoto and Soto is so much fun to say. So why not? Yamamoto. That's what the Yankees should be doing this offseason. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should the Yankees be targeting Yamamoto and Soto? Where do those guys end up going? I think Soto's going to end up in New York. Yamamoto, I'm a little less sure about. I think he could end up on the Mets. I think he could end up on the Giants or the Dodgers if whichever team strikes out on Ohtani, like I mentioned at the top. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching this quick thoughts episode. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.